What if I told you that worry isn't real, that it's nothing more than a carefully crafted illusion, an echo your mind plays on a loop, a story it tells you so often you begin to believe its truth? The Buddha once said, "What you think, you become," and he was right. But here's the problem. What happens when what you think is quietly unraveling your peace? What happens when your thoughts become the very thieves that rob you of joy, of rest, of presence? Let's be honest. How many nights have you laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying old conversations you wish had gone differently? How many mornings have you woken up with your heart racing, bracing yourself for things that haven't even happened and might never happen at all? If that sounds like you, you're far from alone. Most of us are caught in the same trap, worrying about a future that doesn't even exist, haunted by a past we can't change, and forgetting that the only place we're truly alive is right now. Here's the truth. Your mind isn't your enemy, but it's also not always your friend. It's a tool, and like any tool, if you don't know how to use it, it starts to use you. But what if today could be the beginning of something different? What if you could step outside that endless loop, even for a moment, and finally see it for what it is? In this video, we're going to uncover a profound truth from Buddhist wisdom, one that's been hidden in plain sight all along. This isn't just about ideas. It's not just theory. It's a living, breathing practice, something you can begin right now. And once you do, you'll notice a shift, not a loud, dramatic one, but a quiet click deep inside where peace begins. We'll get to the root of worry, not just to understand it, but to untangle it. And if you stick with me to the very end, there's something powerful waiting for you. A bonus teaching that will connect every dot and leave you with something real to carry forward. So breathe. You're exactly where you need to be, and what you're about to learn might just change the way you see everything from this moment forward. Number 1. Be happy now. What Buddhism really says about worry: there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. At first glance, this teaching sounds simple, almost too simple. But for many of us, these words feel like a riddle. Why? Because we've been conditioned not to recognize happiness, but to chase it. From an early age, we were taught that happiness lives somewhere in the future, in the next promotion, the perfect relationship, the dream home, or the next big accomplishment. So we push harder, we run faster. We hustle through life under the illusion that once everything is in place, we'll finally be able to relax, to breathe, to smile, and to feel fulfilled. But let's be honest, does that day ever really come? Imagine your life as a room already filled with warm sunlight. That light, joy, peace, contentment is always there. But the curtains are drawn. Worry is that curtain, and every time you think, "I'll feel better when," you're not opening the window, you're tugging the curtain even tighter. You're pushing happiness just a little further out of reach. Buddhism doesn't teach us to stop caring. It teaches us to wake up. To awaken to the illusion that joy is a reward we earn at the end of a long struggle. It's not. Joy isn't waiting for you somewhere out there. It's already here in this moment. The question is, are you willing to stop postponing it? Take a moment and ask yourself, what exactly are you waiting for before you let yourself be happy? Is it more money? A cleaner house? A bigger title? Or a more perfect version of yourself? What if this imperfect, unfinished, unpredictable moment was already enough? Buddhist wisdom cuts through our confusion with a single powerful insight. Attachment is the root of suffering, and perhaps the most overlooked attachment is the one we have to how life should be. We suffer not because of how things are, but because we resist how things are. We argue with reality. We tell ourselves the present isn't good enough, that we need more or different or better. But what if you tried something radical instead? What if you allowed joy to coexist with imperfection? Your job might still feel unstable. Your relationship may still carry unanswered questions. Your calendar might still be bursting at the seams, but peace doesn't wait for the noise to stop. Peace begins when you stop resisting the noise. Train your mind not just to identify what's wrong, but to appreciate what's right. This doesn't mean ignoring your problems. It means refusing to let them dictate the quality of your inner life. So take a breath with me, just one. Not to fix anything, not to chase anything, just to be here. In that single breath lies a truth most people miss. Happiness isn't hidden in some future event you haven't earned. It lives in the quiet, sacred ordinariness of now. A monk once said, "When walking, just walk. When eating, just eat." It might sound childish, but maybe that's the point. Children don't divide the moment. They don't delay happiness. They're fully inside the now, unburdened by resistance. And maybe it's time we return to that wisdom. So ask yourself, what if nothing changed? Could you still choose joy? Could you still see beauty in the cracks, peace in the mess, contentment in this very moment? Because here's the truth, happiness is not a treasure buried in the future. It's the sunlight that's been shining all along, just behind the curtain of your resistance. Let go of the belief that happiness lives somewhere else. It doesn't. It's not out there. It's right here, right now. At the end of the day, you have two choices. Wait for a perfect moment, or make this moment enough. Be happy now. That sips, not denial. That sips, wisdom. 2. What is worry according to Buddhism? Worry, according to Buddhism, is nothing more than a mental illusion, a mirage of the mind. The Buddha said, all that we are is the result of what we have thought, and if that's true, then we must ask ourselves, what are we becoming when we live inside worry? Worry isn't reality. It's a shadow puppet dancing across the walls of your mind, a shape that only seems convincing when the light behind it casts it large and looming. You feel its presence. You hear its voice. It feels urgent, demanding, necessary. But stop and ask yourself, if your thoughts aren't facts, why do you treat them like rules? Every day we spin entire stories about what might happen tomorrow. We rehearse arguments that haven't taken place, anticipate emails that haven't been sent, brace for failures that exist only in the theater of our imagination. Buddhism teaches that this is the very essence of worry, a mind addicted to storytelling, its attachment to an imagined future, one that doesn't exist, and that attachment robs you of the joy, the clarity, and the peace of now. When you chase certainty, you don't create safety, you create a prison. You build walls around your peace, mistaking control for comfort. You act as if peace is something you earn through hypervigilance, as if control is a currency you can spend to buy security. Meanwhile, your mind prints counterfeit worries, feeding your fear with nothing but assumptions and hypotheticals. In ancient monasteries, Buddhist monks are taught to treat their thoughts like clouds drifting across a silent sky. The goal isn't to fight them or fix them, but simply to watch them. And at first, that's hard. The mind wants to chase, it wants to react. It wants to react, but observe carefully, a cloud doesn't ask for attention, it doesn't demand belief. It doesn't scream for action, it appears, it drifts, it disappears. What if you treated worry the same way? What if instead of obeying its commands, you noticed its shape, observed its texture, and let it pass, just like a cloud? Modern life, of course, makes this even harder. We live in a world that feeds worry. Our phones buzz with news alerts, reminders, messages. Social media offers an endless loop of comparisons and curated perfection. We scroll through anxiety. We breathe in overstimulation. In this noise, planning becomes obsession. In the workplace, you rehearse worst-case scenarios before the meeting even begins. At home, you run mental spreadsheets of every possible cost, risk, and outcome before even moving. You tell yourself that if you predict the storm, you'll avoid getting wet. But Buddhism reminds us of a deeper truth: attachment to prediction is just another form of suffering. The need to know, to be certain, to outthink reality, it's all a trap. Because life doesn't promise clarity before it unfolds, and worry doesn't protect you. It distracts you, it drains you, it trades the richness of the present for a story about the future that may never arrive. So let it go. Not by force, not through denial, but through awareness. See worry for what it is: a ghost you've mistaken for a guide. Watch it come, watch it go. Let it drift. You don't have to follow. When you drop the need to control every moment, you discover clarity in uncertainty. Here's how to begin. Pause 3 times today. Before a meeting, before replying to a text, before making dinner. Take 1 full breath. Notice the worry rising. Name it. There's the budget worry. There's the relationship worry. Then say silently, "This is just a thought," and let it drift. No pushing, no chasing, no judgment. Each time you practice, you weaken the puppet strings. Consider a real-life moment: a student trembling before an exam, convinced failure is inevitable. Instead of battling panic, she watched it as a fleeting visitor, not a permanent resident. She discovered that the questions on the paper were less daunting than the questions in her mind. When she released the grip of imagined failure, her mind cleared. She answered more confidently and finished early. Buddhist wisdom doesn't promise a worry-free life. It offers something far more powerful: the freedom to choose your response. You're not at the mercy of every thought that crosses your mind. You can stand apart, a calm witness to the drama, and decide whether to play the part or watch the scene unfold. So ask yourself, what if worry is not a compass but an echo of fear? What if, by refusing to follow its shadowed outline, you step into the light of your own awareness? The real mastery lies in this simple shift, dropping the illusion of control so that you can embrace the unpredictability of life with a steady heart. Let worry be a cloud, not a command. Let it pass, and in the quiet space it leaves behind, discover that peace was waiting all along. 3. The mind's trap. How we create suffering with thoughts. The root of suffering is attachment. These words aren't just spiritual poetry. They are a mirror, a direct reflection of how we trap ourselves over and over again inside our own minds. Not with chains, but with thoughts. Thoughts that say, "This shouldn't be happening. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I can't be happy until this is fixed." Your mind is a cage, but not one made of steel. It's built from invisible assumptions, stories, and labels. You experience something neutral, a delay, a breakup, a missed opportunity, and instantly your mind stamps it bad. And from that stamp, suffering begins. Not from the event itself, but from the meaning we attach to it. You don't suffer because your plans changed. You suffer because you expected them not to. Buddhism teaches that the mind is a storyteller. It crafts entire realities out of preference and resistance, but if you look closely, you'll see something powerful. The story can only hurt you if you believe it. Suffering enters when we stop observing thoughts and start identifying with them. You begin to become the worry, the anger, the regret, as if they're who you are, but they're not. They're visitors. You're the space they pass through. Ask yourself, what are you mentally fighting right now? Maybe it's a delay in your career. Maybe it's someone not meeting your expectations. Or maybe it's just a deep, unspoken fear that you're falling behind. Now pause and look at the thought that fuels that fight. Is it true? Absolutely true. Or is it just a belief you've rehearsed so often that it feels real? A woman once told the Buddha, "My life is full of suffering." He asked her, "What are you clinging to?" She cried because she realized it wasn't the world causing her pain. It was her grip on how the world should be. Her healing didn't come from fixing the external. It came from releasing the inner resistance. Every moment you spend resisting what is, you tighten the bars of the cage. But every time you pause, breathe, and observe your thoughts without judgment, you rattle those bars loose. You remember that you are not your mind. You are the awareness behind it, and awareness is freedom. Here's the practice. The next time you feel upset, don't rush to change the situation. Instead, notice how your mind labeled it: unfair, terrible, unacceptable. Then ask, what if I didn't believe that label? What if this moment is just a moment? Suffering ends when you stop clinging to what should be, and meet life exactly as it is. You may not like it, but you can still make peace with it. And from that peace, clarity arises. Strength returns. Action becomes effortless, not reactive, but rooted in wisdom. So here's the truth. Your mind can be a trap or a tool, and you hold the key, not by force, not by perfection, but by letting go. Let go of the thought, let go of the story, and finally, be free. 4. Living in the present. The real antidote to anxiety. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. This teaching is simple, yet it slices through the heart of anxiety like a blade through fog. Because here's the truth: worry cannot survive in the now. It only exists in time, in a future that hasn't happened, or a past that can't be changed. But peace lives in presence, not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, imagine your mind as a still lake. The surface is calm, reflective, clear. But every thought about the past stirs the water. Every imagined scenario from the future sends ripples through it, and soon the reflection is gone. You can't see through the chaos. You forget the calm was ever there, and yet it never left. It was only disturbed. So the question is, can you stop stirring the water? You may feel overwhelmed by your job, your relationships, your expectations. The mind screams, what if I fail? What if I'm not enough? But the only place those fears live is in the movie. Your mind is projecting onto the future. Buddhism doesn't ask you to deny your fears. It asks you to wake up from them, to return to the one place they lose their power, the present, right now. Notice your breath, not the story of your breath, but the feeling of it, the rise and fall, the inhale and exhale. This is your anchor. This is the moment that frees you. When your mind drifts, because it will, come back to your senses. Feel your feet on the ground, the sound around you, the texture of your clothing. These are the tools that bring you home. You're not broken for worrying. You're just lost in a place that doesn't exist. Ask yourself, are you really here right now? Or are you living in a conversation that hasn't happened, in a failure that hasn't come? Every time you return to now, you reclaim your power. You stop reacting to a fantasy and start responding to what's real. There's a story of a Zen master who was asked, how do you stay so calm in chaos? He smiled and said, when I'm eating, I eat. When I'm walking, I walk. When I'm sitting, I sit. The student replied, but don't we all do that? The master answered, no. When you're eating, your mind is already at work. When you're walking, your mind is rushing home. When you're sitting, your mind is worrying about what's next. That's the difference. The present moment is not just a space between two tasks. It's the only space where life happens, where decisions are made, where peace can be found. Stop running into the future. Stop dragging the past. Just be here. This breath, this step, this pause. Because the truth is, you don't need more time. You need more presence. And presence is not something you find. It's something you practice. So the next time worry grips you, don't try to fix the future. Just ask, am I here or am I lost, in a place that doesn't exist? Peace doesn't wait for a better moment. It begins the moment you arrive. 5. Trusting life. The art of letting go. Let go or be dragged. Just 5 words. Yet they carry a truth that most of us spend our entire lives resisting. Because to the ego, letting go feels like death. It feels like surrender, like weakness, like giving up. But Buddhism reveals something far more profound. Letting go isn't about losing control, it's about waking up. Waking up from the illusion that you ever had control to begin with. Waking up from the exhausting belief that you must predict, prevent, and perfect every outcome in your life just to feel safe. That kind of pressure doesn't create peace. It crushes it. It doesn't make you stronger. It drains your soul. Trying to control life is like trying to hold water in a clenched fist. The harder you grip, the faster it escapes. You try to control your career, micromanaging every step, fearing failure at every turn, obsessing over timelines and milestones. You try to control people, how they see you, how they respond to you, how long they stay in your life. And most of all, you try to control the future, rehearsing 100 worst-case scenarios in your head, as if anxiety were a shield. But stop and ask yourself, has that ever brought you peace, or has it only fed more fear, more fatigue, more frustration? Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're ready to trust. You begin to trust that life doesn't always unfold the way you want, but often the way you need. You trust that what doesn't go your way might be redirecting you to something better. You trust that outcomes you can't change are not punishments, they are teachers. And you learn to trust that surrender is not a sign of weakness, it's a signal of deep wisdom. Because when you stop forcing, when you stop clinging and demanding, something subtle yet powerful shifts within you. Your energy moves from fear into flow, from grasping into receiving, from controlling into aligning. And in that shift, life starts to feel lighter, not because the problems disappear, but because you're no longer dragging them behind you. There's an old story that captures this perfectly. A man is hanging from a cliff, gripping a thin branch for dear life. Below him, jagged rocks. Above him, no help in sight. In desperation, he cries out, "Is anyone there? Please help me." A calm voice echoes from the sky. "Let go." The man looks down in horror. "Let go." He repeats, heart pounding. "Let go," the voice says again. But the man is too afraid. He holds on. He stays frozen in fear. Hours pass. His arms give out. And eventually, exhausted, he slips, only to find that just a few feet below, there was a solid ledge waiting all along. How often do we do the same? We hold on to what hurts. We cling to what drains us. We resist the very moment that's asking us to soften, to trust, to breathe. And yet when we finally do let go, we discover something unexpected. We were never falling. We were being held. Letting go doesn't remove the challenge, but it frees you from the struggle. It allows life to move again, and it invites you to meet the present, not with fear, but with faith. Sometimes the ground you fear doesn't exist. The only thing between you and peace is the clinging itself. Ask yourself now, what are you gripping so tightly? A plan that's not working? A person who's already left? A version of yourself you've outgrown? What if you loosened your grip just a little? What if you stopped wrestling with life and started dancing with it? Letting go begins with one breath, one moment of softening, the tension in your jaw, the worry in your chest, the urge to control the uncontrollable. You don't have to drop everything all at once, but can you release one thought, one fear, one should that's been weighing on your heart? You'll notice something strange. As soon as you stop clinging, space opens up, space for clarity, for new possibilities, for the present moment to breathe again. And from that space, you move not from desperation, but from alignment. Letting go is not the end of control. It's the beginning of trust. And when you trust life, you realize you were never meant to carry it all. Stop clenching. Start flowing. Because peace doesn't come from holding on. It comes from having the courage to let go. 6. Accept what is. Resistance is the true enemy. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. It sounds simple, but when life doesn't go your way, when plans unravel, or when someone breaks your trust, peace can feel like a distant fantasy. In those moments, the mind goes to war. It tightens, it argues, it rejects. It says, "This shouldn't be happening." But here's the deeper truth. Resistance is the real enemy, not the moment itself. Imagine trying to row a boat upstream with a broken paddle. Every stroke takes all your effort, yet you don't move. You're exhausted, frustrated, stuck. That's what resisting reality feels like. When you fight what is your job situation, your breakup, your uncertainty, you waste all your energy wishing the river flowed the other way, but it won't. It never has. The river of life flows how it flows. The question is, can you let go of the fight and float with it? Acceptance doesn't mean approval. It doesn't mean you like what happened. It means you stop pretending it didn't. It means you face the truth without turning it into your enemy. Because emotional suffering isn't caused by the event. It's caused by the story we tell ourselves about it. This is unfair. This ruins everything. I can't handle this. The pain multiplies. Suddenly, you're not just feeling loss, you're also feeling resistance to that loss. That's where suffering is born. There's a story of a monk who was struck during a robbery as he bled. Someone asked, "Aren't you angry?" The monk replied, "There is pain. Why add hatred to it?" That's the power of acceptance. You acknowledge the wound without feeding it more pain. You say, "This hurts, but I won't make it worse by denying that it happened." Now ask yourself, what are you wishing was different? Is it your career? Your pace in life? The way someone treated you? What would change if you stopped resisting it? Not surrendered to being stuck, but surrendered to what is. In that surrender, something unexpected happens. You gain clarity. And with clarity comes choice. You stop reacting. You start responding. Not from panic, but from presence. It's the fight that drains you, not the reality. When you accept, you conserve your energy. You turn inward, where peace lives, not outward, where control is an illusion. You don't have to like everything that happens, but you can stop pretending life should always meet your expectations. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Acceptance is the beginning of emotional freedom. It's the first time you put the paddle down and let the current guide you. Maybe it leads to healing. Maybe it leads to growth. Maybe it simply leads to peace. But it starts the moment you say, "This is what is, and I will face it fully." Stop rowing against the flow. The clarity you seek isn't in changing the moment. It's in changing how you meet it. 7. Stop fixing yourself. You're not broken. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. But how often do you actually give that to yourself? Not the fake kind of self-love wrapped in productivity or comparison, but real compassion, the kind that doesn't say, "I'll love myself when I'm better," but "I love myself even as I grow." Buddhism teaches that the path to peace doesn't begin with fixing what's broken. It begins with realizing you were never broken to begin with. You're not a problem to solve. You're a garden to nurture. But for many of us, self-growth feels like a never-ending repair job. We treat our flaws like errors, our sadness like failure, our past like proof that we're not enough. We chase goals not for joy, but to finally feel acceptable. It's subtle, but dangerous. Because self-improvement without self-acceptance isn't growth. It's rejection in disguise. Imagine standing in front of a mirror and seeing yourself as a friend, a real one. Not someone to constantly upgrade, fix, or criticize, but someone to support, understand, and forgive. What if that became your new mindset? What if inner peace wasn't at the end of 10 more habits, 5 more books, or another new version of yourself, but available now? The moment you decide to stop abandoning who you already are, there's a story of a cracked clay pot used to carry water. Every day one side always leaked. The pot felt ashamed. One day it apologized to the gardener, but the gardener smiled and said, "Haven't you noticed the flowers blooming only on your side of the path? Your so-called flaws, your cracks, may be the exact places where your wisdom, empathy, and beauty pour out." The goal was never perfection. It was awareness, presence, love. Ask yourself, are you trying to be better, or are you trying to be lovable? What if you already are? What if all your frantic fixing is just noise covering a truth that's already whole? There's nothing wrong with growth, but let it grow from a place of kindness, not fear. From acceptance, not shame. You don't plant a tree and yell at it to grow faster. You water it. You give it light. You protect it from harsh winds. And then growth happens on its own. That's how your mind, your spirit, your life works. When you stop pressuring yourself to be enough, you discover you already are. And in that space you'll naturally rise, not because you're not good enough, but because you finally believe you are. Treat yourself like a friend, a companion on this path. When your inner voice becomes gentler, life begins to feel lighter, and slowly, the need to fix melts into the willingness to heal. You're not a broken machine, you're a blooming garden, and the moment you stop criticizing the soil, you'll realize it's already fertile. 8 thoughts are not facts. Be the watcher, not the worrier. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. But most of us live like prisoners to our minds, tied to every thought, every fear, every imagined scenario, as if it were the ultimate truth. Worry becomes the voice of reason. Doubt becomes the narrator of our lives. But Buddhism offers a powerful shift. You don't have to believe everything you think. Your mind is like a radio station. It plays stories, predictions, memories. But you're not the radio. You're the one who's listening. Imagine a storm passing through the sky. Thunder crashes, rain pours, clouds swirl. And yet, above it all, the sky remains untouched. That's your awareness. The storm is your thoughts. When we forget this, we get swept up in the drama. We become the storm, reacting, resisting, believing every mental movie that plays on repeat. But what if you could just watch? Let the thought pass like a cloud drifting across your mental sky. There's a practice in mindfulness called noting. When a thought arises, "I'm not good enough. This will never work. What if I fail?" You simply note it. Ah, worry. Ah, fear. That gentle labeling creates space. It reminds you this is a pattern, not a prophecy. You don't need to wrestle with it. You don't need to fix it. Just watch and let it pass. So many of our worries come not from life itself, but from the stories we attach to life. A delay becomes a disaster. A silence becomes rejection. A mistake becomes proof that we're unworthy. But none of this is real. It's interpretation, not fact. Your power lies not in controlling your thoughts, but in choosing your relationship with them. Let's ask something radical. Which thought are you clinging to right now? That one judgment that won't let go. That imagined future playing on a loop. What if it's just a passing cloud, harmless, fleeting, unreal? What if you could sit on the bank of your mind and watch the river of thoughts flow by untouched? The moment you stop believing everything your mind says, you begin to taste freedom. You begin to see clearly, I am not this thought. I am the space it moves through. The stress doesn't come from the moment, it comes from the mental commentary. When you pause and observe, the mind loses its grip, and peace quietly returns. Practice being the watcher. The one mind says, "This is bad, watch it." When it whispers, "You can't handle this," smile gently and keep watching. When it screams, "Something's wrong," breathe, and remember, thoughts aren't commands, they're just noise. They only have power when you believe them. You are not your fear, not your worry, not your inner critic. You are the stillness beneath the noise, the awareness behind every thought, and that awareness, it doesn't panic. It simply watches and remains free. 9. Practice radical self-compassion. You are not unworthy because you worry. You are human. Somewhere along the road of growing up, many of us absorbed a dangerous belief that perfection is the price of peace, that to be worthy, we must be calm all the time, composed all the time, productive all the time. We learn to measure our value by how well we suppress our mess, but Buddhism gently reminds us of something far more liberating. Acceptance is the beginning of transformation. The world doesn't change when you finally fix yourself. It changes when you meet yourself with kindness, especially in the places that feel most unlovable. Picture standing before a cracked mirror. The cracks are real, yes, but they do not erase the reflection. They do not stop the light from shining through. That mirror is you. The cracks are your worry, your fear, your doubt, your regret. But they are not proof that you are broken. They are proof that you are alive, that you feel deeply, that you care. What if the real suffering doesn't come from worry itself, but from how cruelly you speak to yourself for having it? Listen closely to the inner critic, the voice that whispers, "You should be over this. You should be stronger. You're failing at peace." Would you say that to someone you love, to a friend, to a child in pain? Then why speak it to yourself? Buddhism offers a quiet but powerful revolution, radical self-compassion, not indulgence, not excuses, but a fierce, tender presence that declares, "Even here, even now, I will not abandon myself." The mind may panic, the emotions may tremble, but the compassionate heart can stay, and in that staying, something begins to soften. The war inside begins to dissolve, because healing doesn't come from force, it comes from holding. Imagine a child who is afraid. We don't yell at them to be brave, we kneel beside them. We speak gently. We offer warmth and patience. Your worry is that child, and you are the parent. So what if you treated yourself that way? What if, instead of shaming the fear, you sat with it? What if you let it speak without rushing to silence it, fix it, or deny it? Self-compassion doesn't mean we stop growing. It means we stop punishing ourselves on the way there. It means we stop seeing our struggles as evidence of failure and start seeing them as invitations to care. Because at the heart of Buddhism is not the pursuit of perfection, but the practice of presence, the practice of staying with what's real without turning away. And that includes you, all of you, even the anxious parts, even the uncertain parts. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy of peace. You only have to be present and kind. Try this. The next time you feel anxious or overwhelmed, pause. Place a hand on your chest and whisper to yourself the words you would give to your dearest friend. "It's okay. I'm here. I've got you." Simple words, powerful. You'll be amazed at what shifts inside when you stop trying to escape your feelings and begin to embrace the one who feels them. Here's the truth. Your worth doesn't disappear when you're uncertain. Your light doesn't fade because you're struggling. A cracked mirror still reflects, and so do you. So the next time your inner critic rises, ask yourself, would I say this to someone I love? And if not, why say it to yourself? Your healing begins with gentleness. Your strength is born from self-kindness, and your peace, your real peace, starts the moment you look in the mirror, cracks and all, and say you're enough even now. 10. Replace worry with purposeful action. Worry can feel like a rocking chair, busy and restless, giving you something to do but ultimately moving you nowhere. You know the feeling all too well. Your mind races through worst-case scenarios, looping through what-ifs until exhaustion takes over. Yet despite this mental chaos, nothing changes. The bills don't pay themselves. The career doesn't advance on its own, and the weight of uncertainty stays heavy on your shoulders. Buddhism offers a gentle but powerful reminder: do not act out of worry, act from clarity. There is a difference between frantic motion and mindful movement. One keeps you stuck, the other frees you. Imagine your worry as noise, distracting and overwhelming, but beneath it there is a stillness waiting to be discovered. That stillness is your true clarity, the quiet space where purpose can arise. The moment you pause the internal storm, you create room to ask, what is one small purposeful step I can take right now? Not a leap, not a perfect solution, just one mindful action that shifts energy from fear to forward motion. Too often, we mistake worry for preparation. We think that by endlessly thinking, planning, or obsessing, we are moving closer to solving our problems. But worry is a trap. It tricks you into feeling busy while it steals your peace and power. What if instead, you paused the endless mental chatter and chose one concrete action, something simple, something doable? Maybe it's sending that email you've been avoiding, making a list, or simply taking a deep breath and standing up from your desk. Whatever it is, this step breaks the cycle of overthinking and replaces it with something real. This shift, moving from passive worry to active engagement, is transformative. Action grounded in clarity feels different. It grounds you in the present moment. It reminds you that you have agency, even when the future feels uncertain. It shows that the power to change your life is not in predicting what will happen, but in choosing what to do now. Think of a time when worry overwhelmed you. How much energy did it drain? Now imagine how much lighter you would feel by taking just one purposeful step instead. That's not to say worry disappears overnight. It is a habit to unlearn, a pattern to gently interrupt. But every small action is a rebellion against the paralysis of fear. Every mindful step is proof that you are more than your anxious thoughts. So ask yourself, what is one thing I can do right now that moves me forward? Not because I'm trying to fix everything at once, but because I honor the power of action rooted in calm and clarity. The journey from worry to purpose isn't about giant leaps. It's about small, steady steps. Each one reclaims your strength and reminds you that while worry may feel like a rocking chair, purposeful action is the path that leads somewhere new. 11. You don't have to react to everything. Emotions rise like sudden storms across the vast sky of your mind, sometimes fierce, sometimes fleeting. One moment you're calm and the next, a wave of anger, fear, or anxiety crashes in. But Buddhism offers a profound reminder: you are not the storm, you are the sky. Emotions are clouds, temporary, shifting, often dramatic. They move across you, yes, but they do not define you. They don't alter the vastness or stillness of the sky itself. This is more than a metaphor. It's a key to unlocking peace in the middle of chaos. Because in truth, you don't have to react to everything you feel, you don't have to believe every thought, obey every impulse, or follow every emotional thread to its end. Most of us are wired to respond instantly to inner discomfort. Anxious thoughts arise, and we scramble for control. Irritation flares, and we snap back. The initial surge of emotion feels automatic, like a reflex we didn't choose. But that impulse, it's not the truth. It's a habit, a groove your nervous system has practiced over and over again. But habits can be unlearned, and this is where Buddhism offers one of its most empowering teachings. Between stimulus and response lies a sacred space, and within that space is your power, not to control the world, but to choose your relationship to it. Think about a recent moment when anxiety bubbled up, or anger sparked. Did you pause, or did you plunge into reaction without question, feeding the same cycle of worry, tension, and regret? What would have happened if you had taken just one breath instead? Because that breath is the entry point. When you breathe, when you observe, when you do nothing but witness, you create distance between you and the emotion, and in that distance, you don't lose control, you regain it. Emotions are not commands, they are messengers. They are meant to be felt, not feared, seen, not obeyed. Like clouds in a storm, they roll in dark and heavy, but they always pass. Beneath them, the sky remains, vast, undisturbed, whole. You can learn to hold your emotional storms the same way, with openness, with gentleness, with curiosity, without letting them sweep you away. What happens when you resist that first urge to react? Often something surprising. The intensity fades. The urgency softens. The mind begins to quiet. And in that stillness, clarity begins to rise. You see more. You understand more. And you become less reactive, not because the world is easier, but because you are anchored. Ask yourself the next time a wave of worry, fear, or irritation rises, can I let this pass without reacting? What am I gaining by holding on? Because the truth is, worry and fear only grow when fed by reaction. But when met with stillness, they lose their grip. You don't need to escape life's triggers to find peace. You simply need to change the way you meet them. You are not the emotion. You are not the chaos. You are the sky wide enough to hold it all and let it pass. When you refuse to engage with them immediately, they lose their power. This is not suppression but mindful presence, recognizing the feeling, naming it, and allowing it space without letting it hijack your mind or actions. This skill is a radical form of self-mastery, a quiet rebellion against the relentless pressure to always fix or fight your inner storms. In daily life, this means practicing small moments of pause before responding when a stressful email arrives, when a difficult conversation arises, when fear grips you about the future. Stop, breathe. Feel the emotions as passing clouds. Choose your response consciously. Over time, this rewires your brain, creating new habits of calm and clarity. The worries lose their grip. The compulsive need to react softens and peace grows. You are the vast sky beyond the shifting weather of feelings. Each moment you choose to watch rather than react, you reclaim your freedom. The storms may come, but they do not define you. You can hold space for worry without letting it consume you. In that space lies your true power and your true peace. Bonus lesson: choose what matters, not what feels comfortable. Imagine walking through a thick fog where the path ahead is invisible, the ground uncertain beneath your feet. In that haze, your values become the compass guiding you forward, steady and true, even when the way feels unclear. This is the essence of what Buddhism teaches about choosing what matters, not just what feels comfortable. In a world overwhelmed by endless distractions, worry, and pressure, it's easy to settle for the easiest route, the one that offers immediate relief or distraction. But true peace, the kind that lasts, arises from living in alignment with your deepest purpose, not from avoiding discomfort. Many of us are trapped in a cycle of seeking comfort, chasing fleeting moments of ease to silence the noise inside. But what if the pursuit of comfort is what's actually feeding your anxiety? When you choose safety over growth, ease over challenge, you may feel relief at first, but underneath, a quiet restlessness grows, a sense that something important is missing. Buddhism reminds us that happiness is not found in comfort alone, but emerges when discipline meets purpose. A disciplined mind brings happiness. The saying goes, discipline here is not punishment, but a conscious choice to steer your life according to values that matter most. Think about the moments you've stayed in situations that felt familiar but didn't serve you, jobs that drained your spirit, relationships that limited your growth, routines that numbed your potential. You chose comfort over what truly mattered, and it cost you peace. The fog thickened. But what if you shifted your focus from feeling good now to moving towards something meaningful, even if it's uncomfortable? Meaning often comes with discomfort, but it never comes with regret. The quiet regrets come from ignoring your values and letting worry dictate your choices. This is a radical invitation to stop living by convenience and start living by conviction. It's not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about waking up each day and asking what truly matters beneath the noise of my fears and distractions. When your actions align with that answer, worry loses its grip. You move forward with clarity. Even if the path isn't fully visible yet, you might still feel fear or uncertainty. This is natural, but you don't have to let those feelings decide your direction. Instead, let your values be the compass pointing you toward purpose, growth, and ultimately peace. That choice, to act with intention, even in discomfort, transforms worry into purposeful action. It rewires your mind, breaking the endless loop of anxiety and hesitation. So ask yourself now, are your daily actions reflecting what truly matters to you, or are you settling for what feels easiest? The fog may not lift immediately, but with your values as your guide, every step forward is a step toward genuine happiness. This is the path Buddhism offers, a life lived fully awake, choosing meaning over ease and peace over worry. Your compass is within you, always ready to lead. Will you trust it? Quick summary of 11 principles to end worry and cultivate inner peace. 1. Be happy now. Happiness isn't something to chase, it's something to choose. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Joy already exists within you, even in imperfection. 2. Worry is a mental illusion. Worry is your mind projecting fear into a future that doesn't exist. See it clearly, and it loses its grip. Awareness is the antidote. 3. Suffering starts in the mind. Pain isn't just from events, it's from how we think about them. When we attach and resist, we suffer. Let go of mental labels and reclaim peace. 4. Return to the present. The now is your only true refuge. When you reconnect with this moment through breath, awareness, and stillness, worry dissolves. 5. Trust life, let go. Control is an illusion. Letting go isn't giving up. It's aligning with life's natural flow. Trust the process, even when it's unclear. 6. Accept. What is? Acceptance is not defeat, it's clarity. Resistance feeds suffering. When you embrace reality, peace follows. 7. Stop fixing yourself. You're not broken, you're unfolding. Growth rooted in self-love is lasting. Be kind to the version of you that exists today. 8. Thoughts are not truth. Your mind speaks constantly, but not always honestly. Observe thoughts without fusing with them. You are the awareness behind the noise. 9. Radical self-compassion. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you love. Self-kindness disarms the inner critic and makes space for calm and healing. Tempers. Act, don't set. Overthink. Worry drains. Action heals. Even small, intentional steps bring clarity and confidence. Move forward instead of spiraling inward. 11. Pause before you react. You are not your emotions. You are the sky, not the storm. Create space between feeling and response. Peace lives in that pause. Bonus. Choose what matters. Comfort is easy to chase, but meaning is what endures. In a world full of noise and distraction, the quiet choice is often the most powerful to align your life with what truly matters. Let purpose, not fear, be your compass. Growth rarely feels good in the moment. Discomfort is not a sign you're off course. It's often proof that you're evolving. So choose what feeds your soul, not just your mood. Choose integrity over convenience, depth over ease. In a culture obsessed with control, here's a revolutionary truth. You are already free. You've simply forgotten. You don't need more things, more praise, or more certainty to live a full and peaceful life. What you truly need is to return to yourself, fully, honestly, in this very moment. The secret to peace isn't in changing your life. It's in changing how you relate to it. Worry is not wisdom. It's a habit, a loop fed by fear, but underneath that fear lies your original nature, calm, grounded, and wise. Buddhism teaches that while suffering begins in the mind, so does liberation. The key you're looking for has never been outside of you. It's within. It's always been within. The shift happens when you stop believing every thought, when you stop fighting what is, when you stop waiting for life to start and choose to act, gently, intentionally. Yes, the chaos may remain. The world won't pause, but your relationship to that chaos can soften. You can let go of the war in your mind. You can breathe, refocus, and return to what truly matters. This is not passive surrender, it's powerful clarity. There's nothing to chase. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are here, and that is enough. With presence, compassion, and trust, you can release the exhausting habit of overthinking. You can return to a quiet freedom no achievement or goal can replace. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be, because when you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you. When you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Zen proverb. If something in these words stirred something in you, don't keep it inside. Like and share this message. Drop your reflections in the comments, and if your heart feels called for more Buddhist insights on living a peaceful and awakened life,